Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie. I'm a born and bred Sydney-sider with an insatiable passion for history. In today's video, I share a glimpse into my life as a full-time podcaster and content creator. So pour yourself a cuppa and let's dive straight in. Okay, so it is 10:47 and I finally sat down at my desk. I know it's late, but it's not because I've been sleeping in or being a bit lazy. I've actually been up since about 5 a.m. today, to be honest. So I've already picked my son up from swimming. I've come back home, dropped him at school, gone to the shops, picked up a few things that I needed for dinner, put the slow cooker on. So I love being at my desk working, knowing that there's something healthy and delicious bubbling away downstairs for dinner. So I've already done that. I'll show you actually the recipe because it is so easy and so yum. And if you like using the slow cooker, it's a dream come true. It's a really great chicken soup, a recipe for a slow cooked chicken soup. So I'll show you in a moment. So today's Tuesday, it's a work day for me. It's going to be quite a long day because I have a podcast recording to do later this evening. So that won't end till around 7 p.m. So it's not too bad that I'm at my desk a little bit later than normal. Yesterday, was Monday, I kind of do a lot of admin stuff. So I try and respond to lots of emails and any other admin things. So I write up a to-do list for the week. Make sure I've sent out all the Zoom invites for recordings. I've actually got 4 recordings this week to do, 2 podcast recordings and 2 live chats on Zoom for the various events and courses that I run and things like that. It's going to be a busy week because I've got other appointments as well. So today, my main goal for today is to actually edit and publish a new podcast episode. So that's what I'm going to be working on after I finish talking to you. So that takes me, it depends obviously on the length of the conversation, on the speaker, how many ums and ahs I have to cut out, but normally at least a couple of hours, a few hours really by the time I edit, publish, share on socials, all that fun stuff. So that is the main thing I want to tick off today. And then as I said, I've got a podcast recording this evening at 6 p.m. So I don't, because a lot of the guests that I interview are in the UK, I can't stick to that kind of 9 to 5 work day. It's impossible. So most of my interviews take place in the evening, sometimes early morning. If I'm interviewing someone in the States, for example, that's okay because I can do that in the day. Because that works well. That's sort of afternoon in the US, sorry. Next week, for example, I've got a guest that's in Japan, so that's perfect because they're only an hour behind us here in Sydney in terms of time. So that's great. So sometimes it works out for it to fit into my work day, but most of the time it's evening work. And also I do a lot of live Zooms for the courses and events I run and for my wonderful patrons on Patreon. And because I try and catch all the different time zones, usually a very early start for me here in Sydney, about 6:30 at this time of the year. Gets a little bit better later. I can do them at about 7:30 a.m., sometimes at 8 o'clock, and still catch most time zones. But at this time of the year, it's a bit tricky because if I want, to catch my American followers and European and Australian, it's kind of, it is a difficult one. But that's okay. It's all good fun. So now I'm going to have my mocha, start editing this episode, and I'll come back to you when I'm done. For the delish chicken soup, you'll need 3 large carrots and 5 celery stalks sliced, 1 onion chopped, 2 bay leaves, a garlic clove, half to 1 teaspoon of dried thyme, a teaspoon of salt, some pepper to taste, 8 cups of chicken stock, and 6 to 8 chicken thigh fillets. Place all the ingredients into the slow cooker and cook on low for 8 hours. Towards the end of the cooking cycle, add some noodles or soup pasta. Alternatively, you can cook this separately. Serve with some fresh parsley and crunchy bread and enjoy. Hello again, everybody. So I have now finished editing the podcast episode. In the end, it took about an hour and a half to edit. The conversation was about 30 minutes long. So on average, it does take roughly 3 times the length of the conversation for me to edit the episodes. I then spent half an hour kind of playing around with the file and adding the intro and the outro and all that sort of fun stuff. So that is done and the episode's published, but I haven't yet promoted or shared it on social media. So that's going to take some extra time, and I'll do that in a little bit. But I realized that I didn't say very much to you about the actual work that I do. So unless you follow some of my other socials or the podcast, you probably don't know the podcast that I'm talking about. So I'm actually a full-time podcaster, researcher, content creator, and I specialize in the Tudor period, so Tudor history. My podcast is called Talking Tudors. In fact, I really specialize in the life of Queen Anne Boleyn. So she was Henry VIII's second queen consort and that kind of time period. But yeah, so I've been doing this full time now for a couple of years. I've been doing this in general for a long time, since 2009 actually. But it's only been the last couple of years that this has turned into a full-time job, which is amazing and very exciting. So this is a new channel for me. However, I've been podcasting and blogging, and I've got another YouTube channel as well, actually, where my podcast episodes get published. So I've been doing that for a long time, but this channel is of course new. So I thought I'd better let you know what I actually do in case you don't follow any of those other platforms. So yes, a lot of my time is spent either recording podcast episodes with guests, editing, publishing, promoting, but I also, and I kind of alluded to this earlier, I also do online events. So I run online short courses, anything from 2-day events to a full year course, which I started doing a couple of years ago as well, all to do with Tudors, all to do with Tudor history. So I wear quite a few different hats. And then of course I have lots of social media channels that I have to look after associated with the work I do in Tudor history. So just thought I'd let you know, because I realized I mentioned the podcast and I mentioned other events and I didn't actually say what I do. So yes, that is my full-time job, which is pretty exciting. So I've ticked off that main thing that I wanted to do today, which is the podcast. But I still have other things that I need to do. I need to check emails. I haven't checked emails since this morning. It's a little bit of admin time. As I said, need to now share this podcast episode online. So, hitting the publish button is not the end of it. I then have to, of course, promote it, email the guests, thank them again for being on, share the link with them, share the link on, Twitter/X, Instagram, Facebook, all those fun places. So there's still quite a lot of work associated with just getting one episode out, and I do all of it. So I'm a one-woman show when it comes to my podcast and the work I do. I do everything from sourcing guests, researching the subject that we're going to be discussing. I deal with any, inquiries around that. I schedule the talks. I, of course, host the podcast and record the talks. I then also do all the editing and all the post-production stuff in terms of publicizing the episode and all that kind of thing. So it's a busy job. It used to be a fortnightly podcast. However, now it's really weekly, but it does vary. I have to say, I'm not completely consistent. I've been doing this since 2018. So the podcast actually turned 6 in July, which is really exciting. So I'm a bit flexible with the schedule, I suppose you could say. I publish anywhere between 3 and 5 episodes per month. I think there have been months where I've published more than that, but generally 3 to 5 episodes. So it is roughly weekly. I think there are almost 250 episodes, I think. So there's lots to listen to if you're only just finding it. So I finished the episode. I've already had lunch. I'm not a very good YouTuber, am I? Because I haven't recorded my lunch and it was absolutely delicious. But I'm sorry I didn't record it. And what I'm going to do now is make myself a cup of tea, go back upstairs to my study, to my computer. I do want to get a walk in as well. We need to go for a walk today, everyone. But I think I'm going to do a little bit more work before I head out for a walk. And yeah, so I'll be back. If you have any questions, of course, pop them in the comment box. Any questions about the work I do, more than happy to answer that. But I just thought I'd better just properly introduce myself. So I live here in Sydney, as you know, I mentioned that. It's really wonderful to actually be able to talk to people from all over the world and have this shared love of history, in particular Tudor history, when it comes to that work that I do. Thank goodness for the internet, right? Okay, I'm going to go put a cuppa on. I'll be back. Allow me to introduce you to our 10-year-old cavoodle, Lockie. We chose this name for him because on the day he was born, my family and I were on holiday in Loch Ness. He's super cute and loves nothing more than eating and having cuddles. I'm sure you'll see him around quite a bit. He actually doesn't usually stay still when I try to film him or take photos of him, so this was a bit of a miracle. Okay, so I'm in the kitchen now. I've just made a cup of tea, but I just wanted to tell you about my tea actually, in case some of you may want to try it. So it's called La Tranquera and it's mate tea. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. So while I was born here in Sydney, and I'm a born and bred Sydney side, as I've said, my family is actually from Uruguay in South America. So mate is an extremely popular drink in Uruguay and in other countries in Latin America as well. It's normally not drunk in tea bags, so this is kind of the lazy way of having it, the fast way. Actually, let me show you how it is. Give me 1 second. Okay, so it's normally drunk like this, in a mate cup, a special mate cup, and with what's called a bombilla, so a metal straw. And it's basically got a filter in it. So you, instead of the tea bag, you actually get the loose leaf tea, mate tea, and you put it in there with hot water, and then this straw goes in and you sip it like that, and the filter in this actual metal straw stops obviously the tea leaves from going into your mouth. So that's how you actually have this tea. But normally that's prepared for me, like either my dad will prepare it, or if I'm in Uruguay, obviously relatives prepare it. But I have to say, I have to learn how to do it myself because I'd like to drink it in the more traditional way. Really, it's all about sitting around a table, sharing the mate, talking. So it's a very social thing, although you will see people going to the shops with that, walking down the street holding this actual mate and a thermos under their arm so they can keep filling. People drink it either what's called amargo, which is bitter, or dulce, which is sweet. So not very healthy if you have the sweet, because you are basically having a cup, putting a heaped spoon of sugar into it, filling it again, and doing that over and over and over again. So I don't drink it with any sugar when I have the little tea bag. It's just the green tea, which apparently has health benefits for you. But it's just more like a sort of social or cultural thing, really. But I find that it's really nice after you've had lunch, just to settle the tummy, ease and help digestion. It has other health benefits as well. But I just thought you might want to see in case you would like to try a mate tea. I was ordering these from Argentina actually, because they drink it a lot as well. But I found it in a shop about 25 minutes from my home, so it's really great. So I can purchase it here, but you certainly can purchase it online. Just wanted to give you that little bit of information. All right, so I am now going to go upstairs, do a little bit of admin, check some emails. I do have to do some work for my Patreon community, so I have a Patreon account and lots of wonderful supporters that support all the work I do in Tudor history. So I want to record a little video for them. So there's always things to do, and I really do want to go for a walk, but let's do some more work first. Let's go.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me yesterday. I ended up recording the podcast episode, which went really well, and then I was so tired. So I just basically had a shower, put my PJs on, had the chicken soup, which was really delicious. Highly recommend you give that a go. And then basically went to bed. So thank you again for spending the day with me. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, of course, pop them in the comment box. I'd so much appreciate a like and you subscribing to the channel. As a new channel, of course, that makes a big difference and is really important. So thank you. I'll be back next week with another video, and this time we'll be heading out on another adventure, historical adventure. And I'm going somewhere that I've been wanting to go for a long time. So I'm excited to take you with me. So of course, come back next week to see that video, but do like and subscribe and leave any comments that you might have or questions in the box below. And I can't wait to see you all again next weekend. Take good care of yourselves. Bye-bye.